Yo, what is going on, everybody? It is Garrett the Bear, and welcome back to another episode of the GareTheBear Show podcast. Today's episode, it is 1:30 in the morning, and I have to stay up super late tonight because I close at my job tomorrow. I work at Taco Bell, and I close tomorrow, which the closing shift for me usually is 5 p.m. to 3 a.m. So I need to stay up really late the night before, always, in order to sleep during the day and be able to stay up until at least 3 a.m. the next day. That way I can be fully energized for work. These shifts are actually kind of enjoyable. They're obviously, they're you get the full 8 hours every time, but actually this is a 10-hour shift, so I get the full 10 hours every time, which is even crazier, really. But this episode's gonna be more of like a ramble-y style. Because, I just enjoy doing the rambling styles, honestly, because I just dig talking, I like talking, so why not just ramble? But, I do want to talk a little bit about my job and my work, because that's what's paying the bills right now. Later, I guess technically later today, as of recording this, I have a 10-hour shift at the old Taco Bell, and, it's definitely a special one for me, because this is actually my very first shift running the shift. I'm going to be the closing manager because I recently have been promoted to a shift lead or manager in charge, whatever you want to call it. And basically, I, have keys to the store. I can run my own shifts. I can do all kinds of manager things that usually I couldn't do as a regular crew member, which that's pretty cool. And I've been there for, I think, a grand total of about 3 years, roughly. So it's kind of cool that I also get paid more for any, obviously you would. But I've been there for a while. I have a lot of experience there. And it was actually my very first job, Taco Bell was, which is kind of crazy. But, it's weird because I've been, I would have done this close where it was just me and, obviously one other person. But the one other person, usually whenever I do it, is another manager that helps me out. But this time, it's just me and another guy. So it's I don't have that other manager there to help me out. It's just going to be me doing my thing. But it's also, to be fair, it's that me and the other guys only, the last 2 hours. The rest of the shift, I have at least one other person extra. So it's we have at least 3 people total. But it's interesting because I've been in positions of leadership before, in school and stuff. But this is a little bit different. It's they kind of trust me to run the store, and keep everything kind of afloat and not have anything bad happen, which it's a little bit of pressure. But I've always thought I could kind of handle it, being a manager. I've always thought, I could handle it, and the reason I hadn't before is just because I didn't really care to. I feel the only reason, honestly, everybody always says whatever the reason is, but honestly, it's just to make more money, just to make extra money. And the reason I got talked into it is because one of the managers I had previously was you coach people all the time on a regular basis on a shift anyway. You are a figure of leadership, kind of you people look up to you in a certain way. So only thing you would be doing is just making more money. You'd be doing exactly what you do now, but making more money, which is essentially true. Because before I was certified as a team trainer, I guess I technically am still, but I'm a shift lead now. But anyway. I used to just, I would talk to people, I would encourage people, I would coach people, the people that are under me, the regular crew members, I would just coach them and kind of lead them around and not like boss them around or anything, because that wasn't really my place, and it still doesn't feel like it's my place, but, sometimes I have to tell myself, hey, I actually have to tell people what to do. I don't want to sound bad about it, but I have to instruct them to do things or else we won't get anything done. But I did all kind of similar stuff like that already, so it was I was all right, shoot, I'm just going to get paid an extra little bit for it. Why not? And I had to go through a month worth of training and computer work and certifications for ServSafe, which is basically just, how to handle food properly, temperatures, things of that nature. It's food safety stuff. Which a lot of it is common sense. It's wash your hands after you go to the bathroom. Make sure other people do that. yada, yada, yada. And it's like, there's a lot more specific details, like what temperature does poultry need to be held at as opposed to, other meat, and how long can it stay outside of this temperature range, and yada, yada, yada. There's all kinds of specific things that it talks about and that I had to memorize, which is kind of weird because a lot of these things that they put in there, like there's a lot of questions in this test about like fish and potato salad and stuff like that. And mind you, it's Taco Bell we're talking about here. And we don't have either of those things. So that was just useless information. But, hey, you never know. You never know. So I got all certified and ready to go and kind of exciting. And, I think it's dope because it's one thing that surprised me was the fact that the people, specifically the crew members and, other people, the people that are, quote-unquote under me, I hate to sound like that, but I guess it's kind of how you have to be. Like, the people that are under me, and ranking-wise, they actually listen to what I say, which is kind of crazy sometimes. Sometimes I do, sometimes they're stubborn, but I just, joke about it, because I'm not the kind to be, super-duper assertive, only when I have to be, but, I'm not the kind to be, always, aggressively assertive. Say if, I say, hey, you want to go do this? Or could you go do this for me? And they'd be like, oh, I don't know, I don't really want to. And I was like, well, I don't want to either, and so you go ahead. And I just joke about it, and we have a good laugh, and they end up doing it. So we get this stuff done at the end of the day. The ends justify the means at that point. So, as long as they do what they got to do, and shoot, I don't really care at that point. So it was weird for me, especially at first, and I'm still fairly new at it, that I can tell people, hey, we need this done. Can you go ahead and do it for me? See, I used to not have that power, and now I'm like, bro, this is weird. And I've known people before that are similar to my age, that, by that I mean just generally young, below 25 probably, and even below that, really, below 22. But I've known people to become managers and all of a sudden get super power hungry, and be yelling at people and, just being super mean and just all of a sudden just becoming these general dicks. And I'm like, dude, I don't want to do that. And at first, a long time ago, right when I turned 18, I was working there, and I turned 18, so that's the age you can become a manager. And I was talking to people about it, and I was like, dude, I just don't want to get tied down to this Taco Bell, Which at first I didn't really. That was pretty much just my excuse at the time, because I never really put much prior thought into that kind of thing. Obviously, you getting tied down to a place, at the end of the day, it's a choice. But I didn't really feel like getting that far into it, and I was planning on quitting anyway for college and stuff like that. So, I didn't do it at first. I could have, and I probably would have been better off because I was more fresh, knowledge-wise, because then I ended up taking 8 months off or whatever for college, and so when I dropped out, I was like, hey, can I have my job back? And they were like, yeah, totally, cool. And so that was super awesome, and then I ended up getting my schedule all worked out, and it was perfect, but, which is another thing that's great, is that because I'm a manager, I thought oh shoot, I'm going to have to work more days or more hours or whatever. And actually one of the things that was the deciding factor was, I said, I will be a manager. I will go through all this crap, give you guys the extra manager that you need, because at the time the store was short on managers. We needed 3. So, at the time I was like, listen, I'll do it, but I have to work my 3 days a week, because I usually work Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then I work Thursday through Sunday on YouTube videos and stuff like that. I have to work those days, and one of the rules is every manager has to have at least one closing shift, so that's my Wednesday. So, I said, if I can just close that Wednesday and then stay Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I'll do it 100%. And then my boss is the absolute best as far as scheduling and everything, so she was like, yeah, totally, cool, we can make it work. And lo and behold, she made it work, and we made it work. It's been great so far, and I haven't actually, I've run shifts before, but I've never closed the store on my own. And that's getting me back to my original statement, was this is the first time I've ever done this, and I don't know how I'm going to do. I'm not expecting to do amazing, because realistically, it just doesn't happen that way. But I also have high expectations of myself, because I feel like I can do it. It's just a lot of anything leadership-wise, personnel-wise, morale, things like that, I'm perfectly fine with. And obviously there's still room to grow, but I feel comfortable in those areas. It's just a matter of, paperwork. Like putting what we do is we have to count up all of our inventory at the end of the night. So like what food we have, weights and stuff like that. The only problem I have is putting all that in the right spots on the computer. And obviously it's like a simple thing and I keep overthinking it. And it's really not as hard as I think it is. It's just a matter of putting the right numbers in the right slots and a lot of the money counting too. It's like count the money up, make sure it's right, and put the right numbers in the right slots and make sure it's all added up correctly. And lots of different things. So, I mean, it's at the end of the day, that all is a very simple process. It's just the fact that I haven't done it before on my own, and the fact that I don't have like a trained manager there on spot to help me. So, and I've got help and people. I'll be able to call people if I need to. So, it's gonna be okay and it's all gonna work out. So that is a pretty exciting thing. Now, overall, I've had a wonderful, wonderful experience working at Taco Bell. My local Taco Bell it's been a wonderful first and only job I've ever had, really. Like I've done other like odd jobs, but I've never like actually had like a legitimate job like this. So it's been a great first job. I started when I was like 16. I was 16, almost 17. It was summer between my sophomore and junior years when I started. So I would have been 16 going on 17. So yeah, I was 16 when I started, and now I'm basically 19 and a half, almost 20. So I've spent quite a bit of time here. And actually, it was great because I bought my first car with Taco Bell money. I guess this is money I earned from Taco Bell, but it's Taco Bell money. Come on now, let's be real. But it's taught me a lot of things too. Like I remember before I started working, I was the most unorganized. I mean, I'm still like an extremely unorganized person, but I feel like starting work, especially in the food service, like it's the number one thing I think has impacted my life is the fact that in food service, you really got to wash your hands a lot. And I'm not saying I never washed my hands before, but I never washed them to the extent that we wash them at work. And once you start doing that on a regular basis and get in the habit of washing your hands after like every single different task, like say for example, I have gloves on, I'm all sanitized and sterilized and everything, and I'm working with food. But then I switch over to do something else, I take my gloves off. I mean, obviously my hands are clean, but they're all sweaty and just yucky. Wash your hands. You go out, if you wipe down tables, you got to wash your hands. Technically, you have to wash your hands before starting the next thing. Just because to keep from touching different surfaces and just to make sure general cleanliness, especially nowadays in the current climate of the world and pandemic things, it's extra important to wash your hands. So I encourage everybody out there to wash your hands. Regardless, I don't care what you believe, what you think is political or whatever. Like, I don't care what any of that. Just, at the very least, wash your hands. Like, come on. It's simple. We were taught this when we were 2 years old. Wash your hands after you go to the bathroom. Wash your hands, at least just wash your hands. But that's beside the point. So, working in food service really established a habit of mine. And it really has established a lot of different habits that some are good and some are bad. But I can't really think of any bad ones. But definitely good. Washing my hands and just general cleanliness is a good one. And, before working at Taco Bell, I've probably at least once a year, usually only about once a year, I would get some sort of sick. So I would get like a fever, which was typically what happened. I would get a fever. I would miss 2-3 days of school every year. It was consistent. Literally, you could set your watch. Okay, so Garrett hasn't had a fever yet this year, but, it's coming to the end of the school year, so he probably will get one soon because he hasn't had one yet, so it's obviously going to happen. So it was a regular basis. So after I started working at Taco Bell, I haven't gotten sick. I'm not even kidding you. Like, the amount of hand washing I've done and the habit that it's built, I'm not even kidding you. I've probably had one fever for 4 years. Only one fever. And it's crazy to me because just that alone, developing that habit of washing my hands, a fairly regular amount. It's not anything excessive. It's just the fact that I wash my hands on a regular basis has kept me in pretty much peak healthy condition for 4 years straight. And if that doesn't tell you anything, then I don't know what to tell you. And I'm not trying to have a greater message or anything, But even though it sounds that way, it's not my intention. It's just the crazy fact that, like, working in food service has, like, really helped my health in a certain way. And, like, I've worked, so I've burned bajillions of calories at work. But also, eating free Taco Bell never really helps the calorie count. But we're not even going to worry about that part. But, it's crazy because when you really sit down and think about all these pathogens and germs and stuff that jump from you to food, it's amazing we don't have nearly as many foodborne illnesses in the world that we do. Like, it's disgusting sometimes. If you think about, like, say, for example, Johnny walks into Taco Bell, goes to the bathroom, doesn't wash his hands, then he touches his food, which touches his tray that we hand him, and then we bring the tray back. Obviously, we bring the tray back, we wipe him down, we clean him, but whatever's on that tray jumps to something else, which jumps to something else, which jumps into the food. So, like, it's crazy how it works. So, washing your hands is immensely important. It never will it not be important. You have to wash your hands, because it's crazy, because, like, the amount of things we subconsciously do with our hands, like we touch, like our face, like I've probably done it in this video, but there's so many different nasty things on your face you don't even realize, like your tongue, your spit, your nose, your snot, your eyes, your ears, your teeth, your beard, your whatever. Like, there's so many nasty things on your face that could end up in food, because you got to think you're in such close proximity when you eat stuff. And the same, like, if you work on food, like if you're making food, you're looking up. That's how hair gets in it all the time. Everybody complains, oh, I got a hair in my McNuggets, or a hair in my this, or a hair in my that, and fast food, because they really work in a lot of close quarters with, and even if they have like a hair net or a beard net or whatever, stuff just kind of falls out sometimes. Like you have an eyebrow, boop, there it goes. You can't really help that a lot of times. So, general hygiene is good, and keeping yourself clean, keeping yourself healthy, always a prime thing to do. One of the other big things that I've really learned working in the fast food business is, like you really gain a lot of perspective. And it's not just like you see from the worker's point of view, but you really see how bad certain customer characteristics are. Like, you'll be a customer, you've never worked fast food in your life, for example. If you're a customer, you've never worked fast food in your life, you go in and, say they mess up your order. This is an easy example. They mess up your order. You get mad because, like, you wanted this and you got this, which isn't what you wanted. And it's infuriating. I understand. It's totally infuriating. But one thing, it's just a simple thing. It's so simple. One thing that a lot of people don't quite understand, and many people do, and we as fast food workers are immensely grateful for these people, but for the people that don't quite understand, fast food workers are indeed people too. Crazy thing. They're people. Just like you, just like me. We're all people. And so, fast food workers are no different than your mom, your dad, your cousin, your brother, your sister, anybody. They're people that deserve to be treated with respect. And they don't have to be there working and serving you tacos and making you food. You could be at the grocery store buying your own food from other customer service workers that don't have to be. It's a vicious cycle. So, the more you treat people with respect, just the better your experience is going to be. And I can say this from experience. Just today I was at work as of recording this, and I had a really good experience with a customer. They were really nice, and we had a good little interaction back and forth. And I tell you what, like, just the smallest positive discourse between two people, if it's a good positive energy, it can make or break your entire day. In the positive case, it can make your entire day. Literally, okay, so the example was, what happened was today, I paid this guy's order out, and I was like, all right, buddy, you're going to have to pull forward, or can I ask you to pull forward because we are currently frying up some fresh nacho fries. So we don't have any right now. So we're going to go ahead and pull you forward, and we'll get everything out to you as soon as it's ready. And he said, all right, cool. And so a couple minutes go by, we get some fresh fries up, and then I take the order out to the guy because I was the one who interacted with him. I figured, why not? And plus, I was in the drive-thru, so. Anyway, so I take the order out to the guy, and I said, all right. So he rolls his window down. I'm like, all right, here we go. Fresh everything for you. I said, everything's fresh for you. and I hope you guys enjoy. And he was like, man, thank you. Have a good day. And I was like, man, you too. And it was such a simple, like, probably thing like, oh, this literally happens all the time. It's just a simple thing. But it's so simple because a lot of times in fast food, the hi, how are you, and the have a great, that's a lot of that, positive stuff, a lot of times can be fabricated. And especially with certain types of people that work in fast food, they aren't the most friendly of people a lot of times, which is understandable. And that's just people in the world. There's not always friendly people. But when you find those friendly people, it's always great to interact with them. But, you can really tell, whenever, and customers can really tell, and so can workers, whenever the customer or the worker you're interacting with is genuine. And I knew that the guy I was interacting with was genuinely, a good guy. Because I was like, we're going to be a couple minutes because we're dropping some fresh stuff. And he's like, hey, man, no problem. It's all good. Went ahead and pulled forward, cooperated. It was all good. The process was smooth. And, I felt that I took that energy that he gave me, and I was like, all right, he's giving me good vibes. I'll give him good vibes back. Because that's how it works. You give what you take, and so on and so forth. And so, he gave me a positive vibe. I gave it right back to him. I was like, hey, man, you have a good day. No, you have a good day. And literally, if you're a customer and you could be having a bad day too. You could be having a bad day, but, one little tiny nice interaction with a customer service worker, a food service worker, or whatever it is, one little interaction can make that individual human being's day 1,000 times better. I'm not even exaggerating. Literally, one good positive interaction could make your entire day. And it's literally like 10 seconds worth of conversation. It's not like you have to put a lot of prior planning into it. It's just a simple matter of being kind. And, people, at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. Like, if you, get your food at a restaurant, fast food restaurant, or even any sort of restaurant, and if it's not exactly what you wanted, don't go up there screaming and hollering and insulting people. That's not necessary, It's, you go up there, present yourself with kindness and gentleness, and be like, hey, I'm sorry to be a bother or whatever, or just say, just in general, like, I'm sorry, but this isn't what I asked for. I asked for this. And, if you're not hostile, if you're not aggressive towards these people, these workers that are, serving you, they'll be, I'm not even joking. If you are hostile or mean or nasty towards these people, they will return the favor. But if you're nice and you're kind and you're genuine and you're sweet in your heart and everything, if you're good to these people, they will be good back. This is a general statement, but in my experience as a worker and as a customer, if you're good to these workers, they will be good back to you. Because, I feel as a worker, if somebody is genuinely nice to me, obviously, I want to be nice back because, first of all, that just makes me feel really good when somebody's nice to me, and I want to make them feel just as good as they make me feel. So, I don't ever feel obligated to be super nice people because, I just want to match the energy, And obviously, it's harder to match the energy whenever, they're being really mean because, obviously, I can't be mean back because I'll get in trouble. But, it's harder to be positive at that point because it's not matching the energy. So, instead of matching rude with rude, you have to counteract rude with kindness. And that's hard. But that's the beauty of kindness, is because kindness always wins. Every time. Long story short, I know this was a really weird conversation, a really weird ramble-y, talky thing, but I think there's some value to be had in it. At the end of the day, if you ever go next, I'm gonna put you on something. All right, I'm gonna make a call to action here. This is what they always say to do at the end of a speech or at the end of a video or at the end of whatever the heck. I'm gonna have a call to action. All right. Next time you go to any sort of establishment, any sort of fast food, any sort of restaurant, any sort of store, grocery store, local shop, whatever it may be. Anytime anybody wants to interact with you, say it's a worker, can I help you with anything? Or can I help you find anything? Instead of being like, oh, no, we're good. Or instead of brushing them off rudely, no. Or instead of just kind of being distant and ignoring, I encourage you to respond with positive energy and be kind to people. Like, there's people that come in the drive-thru, they're not necessarily being unkind or being mean by any means, but, they'll be like, on their phone, be like, I'll be like, okay, your total is blah, 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 and they'll be like, oh, yeah, and just hand me the change without even looking at me, And that kind of rubs us the wrong way. Because it's like, all right, do you really want your food that bad? Because, you're not even paying attention, so do you really want to eat Taco Bell today? Because I don't have to give it to you. That isn't necessarily them being directly rude, or, they are kind of being rude, but that's not them being mean or unkind. It's just them not really paying you the proper mind they should. So, instead of being distant from your interaction, be positive and say, okay, here you go, and interact with the person, because funnily enough, human interaction is a great thing. It's wonderful and people enjoy it, whether they like it or not. It's something, if you have especially if you have a positive human interaction, it's a really good feeling it brings out. So I encourage you, next time you go to any sort of fast food establishment, any sort of grocery store, local shop, local anything, just anytime you go anywhere that involves human interaction, make it a good one. Make somebody's day. Be kind to somebody. All it takes is one act of kindness. It's literally all it takes. And you can change somebody's day. And that little tiny thing that you do to make them feel good could potentially change their entire life. So that is what I want to leave you guys with today, is be kind to people. I know this started off as like it's 1:30 in the morning and it's super late and I work at Taco Bell and blah, blah, blah. But I think it went to a good spot. I think that, if you listen to the very end, actually, I hope you did. I really encourage you to do so. But if you listen to the very end, like I said, I encourage you all to be kind. At the end of the day, we aren't here for a very, very long time. We're here for, 70 to 100 years. Why spend all that time being mean? There's no point. All it does is cause trouble. It makes people feel bad. Makes you feel bad. Because whenever somebody's mad or in a bad mood or being mean to people, they can't feel good. There's no way you feel actually genuinely good about that. Being kind, at the very end of the day, it's just so much better. Like, it's simple. It's simple. Just be nice to people. Just be nice. And in fast food or in any sort of human interaction, just be a positive presence. And then these people will reward you. Say, never mind. I've gone long enough. I could just give many, many, many examples. The end of the day, guys, just be nice. I know I've said it 100,000 times already. I don't care. The message needs to be put across. Be nice to people. Be kind. And, put yourself in other people's shoes. Maybe they're having a bad day. Don't make it worse. Help them by making it better. And they will repay you with more kindness. Which, at the end of the day, kindness is the best thing ever. So, anyway, guys. I could just go on and on. I hope you had enjoyed this episode of the podcast, the GareTheBear Show podcast. If you did enjoy it, be sure to follow the podcast wherever you get your podcasts, or if you are watching on YouTube, hey guys, what's up? If you're watching on YouTube, be sure to subscribe, leave a like on the video, comment down below your thoughts. Also, if you like leaving reviews on podcasts, consider doing it. I do this every time. I haven't checked to see if reviews are actually a thing, or is it just a myth that I made up in my head. But if they are a thing, be sure to leave one. I'd really appreciate it. But anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this podcast. This has been Garrett the Bear. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and I will see you all again next time.